My name is Madeline Lauinger, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what I believe is one of the coolest thought experiments of the 20th century, and that is Schrödinger's cat. First, a brief history lesson. Schrödinger originally intended his thought experiment to be a discussion of the EPR article, named after its authors Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen. The EPR article highlighted the strange nature of quantum superpositions, basically in which a quantum system, such as an atom or a photon, can exist as a combination of multiple states corresponding to different possible outcomes. So, to further illustrate this concept, Schrödinger described a way that one could, in principle, create a superposition in a large-scale system by making that system dependent on a quantum particle that exists in superposition. Thus came about Schrödinger's famous thought experiment, Schrödinger's cat. A cat is pinned up in a steel chamber, along with a device in which inside a Geiger counter there is a tiny bit of radioactive substance, so small that perhaps in the course of 1 hour, one of these atoms decays and emits radiation, but also with equal probability perhaps no radiation will be emitted. If radiation is emitted, the Geiger counter tube discharges and through a relay releases a hammer that shatters a small flask of hydrocyanic acid, a substance toxic to the cat. If one leaves this entire system to itself for an hour, one could say that the cat still lives if, meanwhile, no atom has decayed. Thus, Schrödinger's cat proposed the questions: how long do superpositions last, and when, or whether at all, they collapse? Since then, many different interpretations of quantum mechanics have arisen in order to answer these questions. In the Copenhagen interpretation, a system stops being a superposition of states and becomes either one or the other when an observation takes place. Thus, in this interpretation, the cat is in both a dead and alive state until the box is opened and an observation is performed, determining whether or not the cat is dead or alive. In the many worlds interpretation, both alive and dead states of the cat persist after the box is opened, but are decoherent from each other. In other words, when the box is opened, the observer and the possibly dead cat split into an observer looking at the box with a dead cat and an observer looking at a box with an alive cat. But since the dead and alive states are decoherent, there is no effective communication or interaction between them. Only the dead cat or the alive cat, however, can be a part of consistent history in this interpretation. Schrödinger's original intent for his experiment was actually to point out the absurdity in the Copenhagen interpretation of having a cat simultaneously dead and alive. However, many physicists since then regard this dead and alive superposition as quite real. Today, Schrödinger's cat thought experiment remains a defining touchstone for modern interpretations of quantum mechanics, and many physicists still use it to compare the strengths and weaknesses of different interpretations.